In the 5th year of marrying Lucian, the girl he kept at the hotel was exposed and became known to everyone. To prevent that woman from being labeled as the other woman behind his back, Lucian came to me with a divorce agreement and said, "You helped me back then, and before he died, he asked me to take good care of Lisa. Now that this kind of thing has come out, I can't just ignore it." Over the years, Lisa has always been Lucian's first choice. The last time I heard this, I broke down, causing a huge scene, and refused to get a divorce. It wasn't until I was diagnosed with severe depression that Lucian, because of Lisa's remark, "Aurora doesn't look like she's sick," concluded that I was faking illness, thought I was playing hard to get, schemed to frame me for infidelity, and directly filed for divorce. It was then that I realized I could never compare to the daughter of one of his teachers, and I despaired to the point of attempting suicide. When I opened my eyes again, I signed the divorce agreement without hesitation. "Aurora, after this is all over, how about we get remarried?" In the villa courtyard, while I was sitting on a stone bench lost in thought, Lucian brought Lisa over to me. Just 3 hours ago, Lisa was exposed by the paparazzi as Lucian's suspected lover. The entire internet is digging into her past, calling her the mistress who interfered in my sweet relationship with Lucian, the third party. Lucian's image as a devoted husband collapsed spectacularly, and the stock price of his company began to fluctuate. In the previous life, when Lucian came to me with the divorce papers, I was so full of hatred that I uprooted all the roses he had grown for me in the garden and hysterically questioned him about his relationship with Lisa. She was clearly just his teacher's daughter, and there were clearly countless ways to resolve this. But he deliberately chose to sacrifice me. It was only to prevent Lisa's depression from worsening, but what Lucian didn't know was that during the time the trending topic was heating up, I was also diagnosed with moderate depression. "Aurora." Lucian called me again, pulling me back from my daze. I lowered my eyes and fixed my gaze on the divorce agreement on the table. He knelt on one knee by my feet, his deep eyes looking at me, his burning palm wrapping around my hand. His tone was coaxing. "Aurora, just do it for me, okay? We'll announce to the outside world that our marriage has long been nominal, and that we planned to divorce a year ago, we just haven't found the right time." I remained silent for a long time. Behind him, Lisa was wearing a white dress, with Lucian's jacket draped over her shoulders. Her lips were pale, and her eyes were red-rimmed. "Aurora, please help me, okay? My mother committed suicide due to depression caused by online bullying. I don't want to be like my mother. I'm kneeling before you, begging you to help me." As she spoke, just as she was about to bend down to kneel, Lucian moved quickly to stand up, caught her, and skillfully held her in his arms. His face was dark, and he scolded in a low voice, "What are you doing?" Lisa choked slightly, her voice weak and trembling with tears, then she lowered her tear-filled eyes. I just wanted Aurora to feel better inside." Lucian's brows immediately furrowed with impatience. He looked at me and said, "Aurora, I didn't come to discuss this with you. I've already made up my mind about this matter. If you don't want a divorce, then don't blame me." I calmly lifted my eyes to meet his gaze, and his following words abruptly stopped. But I knew what he was going to say. He said, "Aurora, you know my methods. I have countless ways to make you obediently sign. If you insist on suing for divorce, you won't be able to win against my lawyer." These were his exact words in his past life. Later, I was set up and sent to the beds of several male models, and the evidence of my infidelity was firmly established. Overnight, I became a cheating slut, subjected to public opinion. Meanwhile, he and Lisa became the innocent victims. "I can sign, but you have to promise me one thing." After a long pause, I said. Lucian glanced up at me and nodded in agreement. He handed me the pen, and after I took it, I signed my name on the divorce agreement with an expression devoid of any emotion. "Aren't you going to look over the agreement again?" Lucian asked, frowning. I smiled slightly, "No need." He almost left with nothing, giving me all the family property, just for Lisa. "Take some time to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow." "Okay," I said. Lucian's hand holding the divorce agreement paused slightly, his eyes looking at me with some confusion, but in the end, he still said nothing. When they left, Lisa glanced back at me with a mocking look, her thin lips silently moving. "You lost." I really did lose. I lost a lifetime, so now I don't want to lose anymore. After a while, my phone screen lit up. It was a message from Lucian. "I'm sorry for the trouble today, Aurora. After this is all over, I will give you a grand wedding banquet again, and we will remarry. I can't just watch Lisa's depression worsen. You can understand me, right? I looked at this sentence and couldn't help but laugh, tears at the corners of my eyes. It was the same in the previous life. Lucian, in order to force me to divorce, asked his friend for a scheme and got drunk. But he forgot that his friend was also my friend. Cashin earnestly advised Lucian not to destroy his own marriage because of Lisa. On one hand, they were negotiating with me, asking me to try to understand Lucian, saying that Lucian is a person who values loyalty and affection. If it weren't for Lisa's father recognizing Lucian's abilities back then, investing in him, and helping him start his business, Lucian wouldn't be where he is today. At that time, I cried and retorted, Lucian could have 1,000 ways to clarify this matter, why must it be a divorce? Cashin fell silent. He asked Lucian, and Lucian at the time replied, you always have to let someone down. I can only wrong Aurora, she loves me and can understand me. Because I love him, I sacrifice myself. Where's the justice in that? Fortunately, I still have a chance. Whenever it comes to matters concerning Lisa, Lucian always handles them especially quickly. She just signed the divorce agreement with me during the day, and by night she had already arranged a press conference, even having her assistant invite me to attend and clarify. I hadn't even spoken yet. The assistant thought I was going to refuse, but fortunately, he conveyed what Lucian wanted to say to me. He said, Miss Aurora, you should attend this press conference, even if it's not for Mr. Lucian, it's for your own reputation. I was stunned for a second, then finally let out a scoff. Lucian is threatening me. He is trying to use the methods he used against me in the previous life to force me to compromise, leaving me struggling under public opinion. In the end, I can only bow my head in submission. I have never understood whether Lucian sees me as a wife or as an enemy. Now he wants to publicly clarify his relationship with me. I am no exception. The press conference was held in the lobby of the most luxurious hotel, inviting the most influential journalists in the industry to attend. When Lisa appeared wearing a cheapao and holding Lucian's arm, the reporters immediately swarmed around them. Lucian instinctively shielded Lisa behind him, smiling as he blocked the microphones. Please wait, I will answer each of your questions one by one. For now, could you please make some space? His voice was gentle, and when he looked up, he happened to meet my eyes, as I was also surrounded by reporters in the middle. When our eyes met, I found myself faintly hoping that Lucian would also help me out of this situation. But the next second, he casually looked away, a smile on his lips, holding Lisa's hand, and walked onto the stage as if he couldn't see me. I curled my lips in a mocking smile. The closest reporter to me was probably an intern, timidly handing me the microphone and asking, Miss Aurora, have you really divorced Mr. Lucian? Yes. I smiled and nodded in response. The intern pushed up his glasses, but you and Mr. Lucian met in high school, dated for 7 years, and have been married for 5. Just last month, Mr. Lucian spent a fortune to buy a small island for you, naming it after you. I was still smiling, but the smile didn't reach my eyes. That's what he owes me. He missed my birthday to take care of the sick Lisa and made it up to me with a gift. In my previous life, I was proud of this, but later I found out that the idea came from Cashin. The island was chosen by Lucian's assistant, and he didn't even know where the island was. So, do you still love Mr. Lucian now? She looked at me nervously, and the reporters around me fell silent. Even Lucian on stage looked at me. His brows furrowed slightly. I just calmly glanced at him and then smiled slightly, saying, No, I don't. The interview wasn't over yet. After Lucian clarified that our marriage had been a mere formality for over a year, he left the stage. Overnight, I became second-hand goods that Lucian no longer wanted. Yet Lisa became the only innocent victim in this public opinion storm. That day's interview was pinned at the top of social platforms for several days, and the topic's popularity never waned. Especially the part Lucian said, Aurora and I had plans to divorce a year ago, but the timing wasn't right. We originally wanted to handle it quietly, but now that it has affected innocent people, we have to clarify publicly. Miss Lisa is not the interloper who caused the breakdown of our relationship. She is the only concern my teacher has in this world. I take good care of her, which is only natural. I hope everyone can view this matter rationally. Someone was led to say that the reason for the breakdown of my relationship with Lucian was that I couldn't tolerate any flaws in my eyes, and I thought their purely sibling-like affection, so-called gratitude, was dirty. They also said I was petty and not generous enough. After 5 years of marriage, I hadn't learned a bit of Lucian's loyalty and devotion. The topic fermented for several days. I became the target of public criticism. After getting the divorce certificate and coming out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Lucian called out to me, "Don't take the things said online to heart. Before long, everyone will forget about it." I stopped in my tracks and couldn't help but let out a light laugh. Being insulted on social platforms is the same, so why is the difference so big? Aurora, the new year is just 2 months away. How about we remarry next year? He looked at me, and just as he was about to approach, I took a step back and calmly shifted my gaze to the reporters blocked by bodyguards not far away. Lucian seemed to realize something was wrong and stopped in his tracks. "Lucian, I'm going back to my hometown. You really haven't been back for a long time. It would be good to go back once. I'll come to pick you up and take you home for the new year." I won't be coming back. I calmly interrupted Lucian. His faint smile froze on his face, and there was a hint of confusion in his eyes. I said again, when I agreed to sign the divorce agreement, you promised me one thing. Now it's time to fulfill it. Lucian stared at me blankly. Just after being reborn, I took only a few seconds to digest my love and hate for Lucian. At the moment I saw the divorce agreement, I thought about going crazy and tearing it up, causing a scene with him again, but in the end, reason prevailed. After a long while, I curved my lips into a smile. "Lucian, I hope you never appear in front of me again." After Aurora finished speaking with a smile and retreated into the crowd, Lucian still couldn't react. For a moment, he felt an inexplicable panic, as if he was about to lose the most important thing. Just like that day when Aurora calmly signed the divorce papers, feeling a vague unease in her heart. She didn't make a fuss, as if she had already anticipated all the outcomes. But clearly, not long ago, Aurora was still making a big scene because he forgot her birthday, and he even got slapped by Aurora. He originally thought that if he proposed a fake divorce, Aurora would go crazy and have a huge fight with him. He had even prepared himself for that. But she didn't. She picked up the pen, her expression as calm as a stagnant pool. At that moment, he thought about stopping Aurora, but in the end, he did nothing. He thought, it's okay, Aurora loves him very much. They were only having a fake divorce, and he would make it up to her properly later. But Lisa is different. She cannot be harmed in any way because of him. If it weren't for Lisa's father recognizing his talent back then, risking being kicked out of the shareholders' meeting, and resolutely investing in his project, guiding him to grow, he wouldn't have today's achievements. Nor is he worthy of Lisa. Before Lisa's father passed away, he hoped he would protect Lisa and ensure her well-being. He doesn't want to be a traitor. Cashin asked him, if one day, Lisa and Aurora both fell off a cliff, who would you save? At that time, he laughed, thinking this question was too low-level. He would save Lisa, but he would die together with Aurora. Cashin laughed along with him, but he asked himself, what if Aurora doesn't want to die? Lucian, you can't always make her suffer just because Aurora likes you. If she can't feel your love, she will also be desperate. That day, he was indifferent. He never even took that sentence to heart. At night, Lucian still returned to the villa once. Since marrying him, Aurora had been living in the villa halfway up the mountain. She was an outstanding painter. At the age of 10, she was crowned a young genius painter with a landscape painting that transcended the mundane. Everyone believed she had extraordinary accomplishments in traditional Chinese painting and would become a leading figure in the field, which indeed happened later. However, after getting married, Aurora's painting style changed and was no longer what it used to be. Aurora's teacher earnestly tried to guide her, but the effect was not significant. Later, Aurora gave up painting and even resisted picking up the brush. Lucian walked into Aurora's studio. When he saw the landscape painting on the easel, he was momentarily stunned. Just a few strokes, yet it was so vivid and lifelike. The nanny saw the studio light turn on and came over. When she saw Lucian, she was slightly surprised. Sir. Lucian looked up. When did Madame paint this? The nanny replied, she painted it the day you accompanied Miss Lisa back. Lucian nodded, his lips curved as if to smile, but no matter what, he couldn't bring himself to smile. After leaving the studio, he returned to the room he shared with Aurora. He had told himself countless times that he and Aurora were only temporarily divorced. Once the turmoil was over, he would propose to Aurora again and give her a grand wedding feast. But for some reason, his heart always felt empty. Today, Aurora's words were all taken as her ramblings when she was angry. Here's Aurora and his home, how could she not come back? Knock knock, the master bedroom door was suddenly knocked. Lucian, sitting at the foot of the bed, looked up. It was Lisa. She was wearing thin clothes, her face slightly flushed, standing quietly at the door, looking at Lucian. Why are you here? Lisa pressed her lips together. I was scared being alone in the hotel, so I came to find you. She spoke, lowering her eyes. Did I disturb you? Lucian's brows furrowed slightly, but he still said, It's okay, it's a bit late today. I'll have the maid prepare a guest room for you, you can stay there first. As he said this, he was about to call the maid. Lisa took a step forward and walked into the room, her eyes full of tender affection looking at Lucian. Lucian, I don't want to stay in the guest room. Is that okay? She asked softly, testing the waters. Lucian's brows furrowed even deeper, his thin lips parted as if to refuse, but when he met her slightly reddened eyes, he softened. When the plane landed in my hometown, it was Sebastian who came to pick me up. When he was 18, he was accused of sexual assault after saving a girl and was sentenced to 3 years. Because of his criminal record, no company was willing to hire him. I met him at an art exhibition. He never communicated with others and always kept his eyes down. When people approached him, he would only timidly step back. One night later, on my way home, I encountered some thugs and was nearly assaulted. He happened to pass by, and I thought he would look on coldly. But no, he hesitated for hardly a moment. That day I asked him, what if I said you were the one who assaulted me? He gave a bitter smile and said, then I guess I'm just unlucky. I used my family's influence to clear his name, and the truth was revealed that day. He stood in the distance, eyes red as he looked at me over the crowd, bowing to thank me. 3 years in prison did not erase his kindness. Because he saved me, my father also extended an olive branch to him and arranged for him to join the group. Starting from the grassroots level, he is now my father's most capable assistant. Miss Aurora, long time no see. Sebastian, wearing a trench coat, casually took my suitcase. I nodded, my nose inexplicably tingling. 5 years ago, after I married Lucian and accompanied him north, when I had an accident in my previous life, he was being sent to the United States by my father for close training. Until my death, I never saw Sebastian again. Miss Aurora, are you leaving again after coming back this time? He asked me. I said, I'm not leaving. Sebastian smiled, your father is very happy to know that you have returned. I was stunned for a moment, my hand in my pocket involuntarily clenched tighter, and a trace of bitterness colored my heart. At that time, the news of my divorce from Lucian was known to everyone. My father, afraid that I would suffer injustice, flew overnight from our hometown to my city. He earnestly advised me, Lucian is always careless in his actions. Back then, he would rather cooperate with Lisa's father than accept your help. To put it nicely, he didn't want to rely on you, to put it bluntly, he depended on Lisa's father's investment. My dear daughter, Lucian is not right for you. Get a divorce. He wanted to take me back to our hometown. But I was unwilling, crying and throwing a tantrum to stay. With tears in my eyes, I said, I love Lucian, and I don't want a divorce. Why should I sacrifice myself to repay his kindness? Even if he drives me to death, I will not divorce him. I will not leave. In the end, my father was so upset with me that he had a sudden heart attack and was admitted to the ICU, with countless critical condition notices issued. Overnight, my mother's hair turned white. Later, when my father woke up, he didn't say anything, but I knew he was disappointed in me. Before leaving, my mother still advised me, your father has never interfered with any of your decisions all these years. But Lucian is not a good man. At that time I couldn't listen to anything and was determined to bang my head against the wall. It was only after risking my life that I finally understood. To me, Lucian is not that important. Are they all doing well? I asked Sebastian. Sebastian nodded, the group is developing very well, and your parents are both in good health. I smiled and met his cold gaze, thank you, Sebastian. Thank you for being filial to my parents on my behalf. Sebastian shook his head. He said it was what he should do. If it weren't for my father and me helping him back then, he might have died in some corner long ago. The trending topics on social media platforms continue to emerge endlessly. From Lisa being Lucian's mistress, it has now evolved into me being a heartless and ungrateful person. Yesterday, paparazzi caught photos of me and Sebastian at the airport, and now they're saying I had already cheated, which is why my relationship with Lucian fell apart. I couldn't help but laugh. When I lowered my eyes, the phone screen showed a photo Lisa sent of her spending the night at a villa. Last night Lucian took the initiative to let me stay over. What do you think Lucian will do tonight? Lucian is a very responsible person, and now the shackles are gone. Aurora, your husband is mine now. She tried to provoke me, but my heart had long been calm and unruffled. Sebastian poured a cup of tea and handed it to me. He glanced worriedly at my phone screen and said in a deep voice, Miss Aurora, I will make sure to get justice for the grievances you've suffered. I didn't answer him but instead asked, I heard that my father introduced you to many socialites, hoping you would get married. Why did you refuse? Sebastian seemed unprepared for my question. He lowered his gaze and rubbed the rim of the teacup with his fingertip. After a long silence, I asked again, is it because of me? He suddenly looked up, and when our eyes met, he shyly looked away. 5 years have passed. Although Sebastian and I have never met, every birthday I receive a generous gift from him. He also transfers money to my account from time to time. He has given me almost all he earns. I have refused many times, but he remains persistent. Later, I called him and lost my temper with him for the first time. I said, Sebastian, you saved me once, I helped you once, we're even. It was my father who let you into the group, but the path you've taken to get here is because of yourself. You don't owe me anything, I'm not your creditor. What you're doing will only ruin my marriage and make Lucian misunderstand the relationship between you and me. After that time, Sebastian stopped transferring money to me. The gifts he gave were just perfunctory. Sebastian, I told you, you don't owe me. As soon as I finished speaking, Sebastian pursed his lips and said, no. He looked at me, slightly curling his lips, a faint smile on his face, love in his eyes. I like Miss Aurora. I know there is a world of difference between you and me. I have never dared to hope that Miss Aurora would look back at me, but my heart belongs to Miss Aurora. I don't want to deceive myself, nor do I want to hold anyone back. As Sebastian's voice trailed off, I lifted my eyes and quietly studied him. He is the same age as me, yet much more mature. The first time I saw him, he was timid and out of place. Now he has become the pillar of the group, the person my father values the most. Last night, when I returned to the old house, my father talked with me for a long time about the future of the group and my future. In the end, he asked me 2 questions. The first was, do you still like Lucian? I shook my head and gave a negative answer. But for the second question, I remained silent. He asked me, are you willing to marry Sebastian? My father is already planning to retire. Although Sebastian has been with my father for many years, he is ultimately not a member of our family. At first, I was a bit confused, but now I have an answer. Sebastian, are you willing to marry me? 2 days later, Lucian sat in the studio, looking down at the interview that Aurora had with that intern on that day. The intern asked curiously, do you still love Mr. Lucian now? Aurora smiled and replied, no, I don't. Those simple words inexplicably made him feel oppressed. He played this clip over and over again, trying to find something in Aurora's eyes. Ultimately, nothing came of it. He irritably opened the chat window with Aurora. But when he opened it, he found that the last message stopped at the point where he reminded her to pick up the divorce certificate at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 9 o'clock, and she replied with a single okay. After that, there was nothing else. Aurora used to like sticking close to him, sharing everything with him at any time, whether big or small matters, and he would respond promptly when he saw them. He flipped through the records. Later on, most of the time, it was Aurora talking to herself. Occasionally, he would just take a moment to reply with a okay or I know. The group work was very busy. Lisa developed depression after her father's death and repeatedly attempted suicide. He simply couldn't manage everything. Suddenly, Cashin sent out a message. Aurora is going to marry Sebastian. Lucian suddenly stood up and accidentally knocked over the easel beside him. The landscape painting fell to the ground, and as he hurried to pick it up, a medical report was pressed under the drawing board. He was stunned for 2 seconds, and when he finished reading all the content, his fingertips trembled slightly. The patient has severe emotional fluctuations, repeatedly experiencing suicidal thoughts, with serious sleep disorders. It is judged that the patient has a tendency toward moderate depression. The date was the day he asked Aurora for a fake divorce. Lucian, what happened? Lisa hurriedly ran from the master bedroom to the studio after hearing the noise. When she saw the diagnostic report in Lucian's hand, a calculating look flashed in her eyes. can I take a look at this case? Lisa asked softly. Lucian said nothing, only feeling a wave of dull pain in his chest again and again. She took the medical record from him smoothly, flipped through a few pages, then pretended to relax, patted Lucian's shoulder, and comforted him. Lucian, don't worry. Have you forgotten? I am also a depression patient, you have seen how I am when I have an episode. That day I saw Aurora, she looked so healthy, not at all like someone who is sick. Aurora was probably so angry that she used a fake medical record to deceive you, Lisa said, looking at Lucian. Just as she was about to continue speaking, Lucian suppressed his emotions and took the medical record back from her hand. Just after taking a couple of steps, he thought of something and turned back to say to her, don't stay in the master bedroom tomorrow. Aurora threw a tantrum again after finding out. After hearing this, Lisa stood there stunned. By the time she reacted and chased after him, she called out, Lucian. Lucian had already gone downstairs, in such a hurry that he didn't even grab his coat. Regardless of whether the case was true or false, regardless of whether Aurora wanted to marry Sebastian, his only thought at that moment was to see Aurora and take her home. Sebastian takes my wedding very seriously, personally overseeing every detail. Running between the company and the wedding venue during the day. Sitting in the living room at night, carefully writing the invitation stroke by stroke. Sebastian, you can leave these things to the assistant to arrange. You're already very tired from work, there's no need to worry about this, I said, holding a cup and standing at the staircase, speaking to Sebastian in the living room. He put down the pen and gave me a crooked smile. No matter what it is, I want to give you the best. I know you may not necessarily have me in your heart, but I have placed you in mine. The moment our eyes met, I was momentarily dazed, and my long-dormant heart stirred. You don't need to feel any burden. Just be a beautiful bride. Sebastian still smiled, and the emotions in his eyes looking at me were no longer hidden. In the end, I smiled slightly and nodded. I just didn't expect Lucian to come to my hometown. Sebastian and I had just finished trying on wedding dresses. Then I saw Lucian standing under the camphor tree across from us. He wore a simple white shirt, his hair messy, his face slightly pale, and there was no sparkle in his eyes. After his gaze fell on the hand Sebastian and I were holding for a moment, his eyes shifted away again. Lucian forced a smile and looked at me. Aurora, I'm here to take you home. We won't wait until next year, let's get back together now, okay? After speaking, he took a few steps closer to us. Sebastian instinctively wanted to stand in front of me, but I stopped him. I straightened his slightly crooked tie while softly saying, you go wait in the car first. I'll be back soon. Mom made your favorite dishes tonight, we'll go home together later. Sebastian lowered his eyes to look at me, a slight smile tugging at the corner of his lips, and replied, okay. After finally glancing at Lucian lightly, I strode towards the direction of the garage. At this moment, only Lucian and I were left by the roadside. He instinctively tried to get closer to me, but I calmly took a few steps back and softly said, Mr. Lucian, let's keep some distance between us, or else the paparazzi will catch us. Then the social media will spread rumors that I'm deliberately entangling with my ex-husband. No matter when, people are always especially harsh on women. The incident with Lisa is a perfect example. Clearly, it was Lucian who misjudged the situation from start to finish, yet in the end, I was the one accused of being not generous enough. Aurora, Lucian's eyes dimmed, a bitter smile that didn't reach his eyes. I've already asked my assistant to handle the matters on the platform. I'm sorry for letting you suffer. I didn't know you were troubled so much, I didn't know. Lucian, you know. I looked at him, speaking in a calm tone. If he didn't know that public opinion could cause pain and depression, he wouldn't have chosen to help Lisa even if it meant divorcing me. In my previous life, I was framed for having affairs with multiple male models. After being forced to divorce Lucian, my reputation was ruined, my career plummeted, and everyone was laughing at me. Some even came up to me and asked, Aurora, after your ex-husband has done this to you, how do you still have the face to live? If it were me, I would have jumped from the 18th floor. Lucian never cared about her at all, otherwise, how could he have treated you so cruelly? Later, I suffered from insomnia every night, sitting by the floor-to-ceiling window watching the lights of thousands of homes. I burned down the art studio. Everything Lucian gave me was also burned by me, as if that could dig Lucian out of my heart. I vented all my injustice. I hated why the boy who once filled my heart and eyes would push me to the brink. In the end, I slit my wrists and committed suicide. To this day, I still remember the feeling of blood slowly flowing out of my body. Lucian opened his mouth to explain, but when the words reached his lips, he just couldn't say them. In the end, he could only lower his head helplessly. Aurora, I will make it up to you. I couldn't help but laugh. I've heard that sentence too many times. After Lisa's father passed away, Lucian left on the night of the engagement party, saying, Aurora, something happened to Lisa, I have to go check on her. On the wedding day, Lisa tried to commit suicide again. After he sent me back to the bridal chamber, he didn't return all night. At that time, I wavered over whether to continue this relationship. But seeing Lucian's tired appearance, I still endured it. I love Lucian, so I am willing to accompany him through all the hardships. Every missed appointment eventually turns into a sentence, Aurora, I will make it up to you properly in the future. Lucian always thinks our lifetime is very long, but he forgets that love can be consumed. In the previous life, until the very end, I could no longer tell whether I loved Lucian or was just obsessed. After a long moment, I sneered, Lucian, actually, what I want is already very little, but you still can't care for me. I am also the treasured child cherished by my parents, so why should you trample on me like this? So forget it. As my words fell, I withdrew my gaze and was about to leave when Lucian hurriedly grabbed my arm. His tall body almost stumbled and fell, his pale thin lips opening and closing. I don't agree. It can't just end like this. Aurora, you are my wife, you can't abandon me. His voice trembled at the end. I let out a laugh and pulled my hand away. We're already divorced, Lucian. You forced me to sign the divorce agreement, threatened me to attend the press conference to clarify, and even watched me go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the divorce certificate. You did all of this, and you can't deny it, right? Lucian was speechless. I was about to leave. When he tried to catch up, I slightly lifted my chin toward the direction behind him. Mr. Lucian, actually, you and Miss Lisa make quite a good match. Lucian's face instantly paled. He arrived at Aurora's hometown in the early morning. After the assistant found out Aurora's schedule, he came to find her without resting for a moment. It was only when he saw her wearing a wedding dress, laughing and playing with Sebastian. He gradually stopped walking and just stood there dazedly under the camphor tree, watching. He didn't know when it started, but it seemed like he rarely saw Aurora laugh so heartily anymore. Whenever they met, they would argue because of Lisa. Gradually, he stopped coming home often, either sleeping at the company or drinking all night with Cashin and the others. So at that moment, he was incredibly clear-headed and understood that what Aurora said at the Civil Affairs Bureau that day came from her heart. She didn't want him anymore. But he couldn't live without her. The two people in the bridal shop were busy for a long time, and he stood outside for a long time. He even thought about rushing in to beat up Sebastian, warning him, "Don't covet my wife." But in the end, he still couldn't take that step. He was afraid Aurora would hate him. Lucian, Aurora has been gone for a long time. Lisa tugged at Lucian's sleeve, pulling him back from his daze. He lowered his eyes to look at her, his voice somewhat hoarse. Why did you come? I heard that Aurora is going to marry someone else. I was afraid you'd be sad, so I came to see you, she said softly. Just as she was about to hug Lucian, he frowned and reached out to press on Lisa's shoulder. In a moment, her eyes became moist. Lucian. Sister doesn't want you, I want you. Let's get married too, okay? Lucian has never refused any of her requests. She originally thought that after Aurora divorced him, she would smoothly take the position of the lady. But at this moment, Lucian's face instantly turned cold. Lisa, do you know what you are saying? I know. Lucian, I like you. She confessed her feelings for the first time. Lucian gave a pale smile, and as he smiled, he began to cry. Cashin had warned him countless times. Lisa looks at you with restless eyes. If you don't want your marriage to be destroyed, I advise you to send her away. Lucian, you are blinded by being involved and can't see Lisa's true feelings for you. Send Lisa away, don't let her ruin your marriage. But he never believed it even once. Serves him right. My hometown is far from the city, but once something happens on social media, it spreads very quickly. Lucian has been pestering me for the third day. Sebastian sent the evidence of Lisa's forged medical records to Lucian's email, and also compiled the evidence of Lucian repeatedly breaking promises to me for Lisa over the years into a closed loop, then published it online. Overnight, public opinion became polarized, but none of it concerned me. Some say that Lisa destroyed my marriage with Lucian, which led to the breakdown of our relationship. Some people say that Lucian is insincere and hypocritical. If he truly wanted to repay the kindness of Lisa's father from back then, wouldn't giving money and resources suffice? Why must he bully his own wife and force her into a disheartened divorce? Lucian's reputation is damaged. The group's stock is volatile. Not long after, I unexpectedly found evidence that Lisa staged everything herself, hiring people to take photos of her and Lucian entering and leaving hotels together, and then used paid internet trolls to accuse herself of being the other woman. The social media platforms were in chaos. Lucian was also extremely busy and overwhelmed. He originally planned to send Lisa abroad, but after seeing this topic, he almost strangled Lisa by the roadside. He demanded, "Why do you want to do this?" At first, Lisa wanted to confuse Lucian. But when she was strangled to the point of almost suffocating, she suddenly laughed crazily and openly admitted it. "I just want to be your wife, I just want to force Aurora to divorce you." Lucian, if you really loved Aurora, I wouldn't have found any loophole. Lucian was so angry that he vomited a mouthful of blood and fainted on the spot. The video was recorded by a passerby and went viral on the internet. Lucian's group stock price kept falling, and after waking up, Lucian became confused and was directly kicked out of the CEO position. As for Lisa, now infamous, she had no choice but to go abroad. Unfortunately, on the way to the plane, there was a car accident, and she died on the spot. On the wedding day, Sebastian gave me a grand wedding, with flowers blooming all over the city, fireworks all night, known by everyone. When a guest joked that marrying Sebastian was a blessing from a past life, Sebastian sneered and immediately asked the person to leave the wedding. Then openly declared after the vows, "I am Aurora's son-in-law. In this life, I am a member of the Aurora family, in death, I will be a ghost of the Aurora family." Sebastian knew my heart might not be fully devoted to him, but his kindness towards me never changed. On our wedding night, he held me tightly, as if afraid I would leave or disappear. It was only when I pressed him that I found out. Lucian had committed suicide. Before he died, he was lucid for a while and sent the medical report I left in the studio to Sebastian. He also wrote me a letter. The letter was long, each word filled with remorse towards me. He also mentioned having a nightmare. The him in my dream forced me to divorce, but I refused to compromise. He schemed and framed me, sending me to the beds of several men. In the end, I was so desperate that I slit my wrists to commit suicide. He said the him in the dream didn't mean it on purpose, he just wanted me to compromise and bow down, never thinking it would drive me to despair and death. He also didn't know that it was true that I was ill. He said that if he had known, he absolutely would never have treated me that way. When he saw the bathroom full of blood, his heart broke, and he wished he were the one dead. The letter ended with a sentence, "Fortunately, the things in the dream did not happen." There was also a sentence, "I'm sorry." I sneered coldly. In the end, I casually threw the letter into the trash can, along with the medical report. Sebastian frowned slightly. I whispered softly, "Aurora used to be sick, but I am no longer the Aurora I once was." After leaving him, the illness also got better. After a long while, Sebastian smiled helplessly yet affectionately. I looked at him and smiled along. Fortunately, in this life, I have lost nothing.